Because I'm not to be with by any of you, including you. Including any of you guys. No, stop that.
Hey, don't hit
You don't
that guy.
get to talk to me
you don't
today.
Need to hit him.
No. He's my friend.
He did not hit me.
He's my friend, bro. All of you guys are my friends. No. You're not gonna do this today. No, you don't get to ask me questions.
Why not?
Because you just don't.
Was Justin Bieber's public breakdown an unavoidable crash? Or was it the chaotic beginning of a transformation nobody saw coming? The story of how he went from a global punchline to a devoted family man is far more complex than you've been told, and it reveals a shocking truth about the price of fame. Between 2013 and 2014, the world watched as Justin Bieber, the squeaky-clean pop prodigy, publicly imploded. This wasn't just a case of a teenager acting out. It was the dangerous and spectacular collapse of a young man who had been living under the microscope of global fame since he was a child. The trouble seemed to follow him everywhere. In Miami, he was arrested for a DUI, drag racing a rented yellow Lamborghini through a residential street in the dead of night. The now infamous mugshot showed a defiant, smirking kid who seemed to believe he was untouchable. The fallout from that arrest led to a deposition video that went viral for all the wrong reasons. In it, a cocky and dismissive Bieber sparred with lawyers, refusing to answer questions and dripping with an arrogance that shocked even his most loyal fans. He was no longer the sweet kid singing Baby. He was a symbol of entitled celebrity culture. The incidents kept piling up. There was the time he was accused of egging his neighbor's mansion in Calabasas, causing thousands of dollars in damages over a noise complaint. It sounded like a prank, but it resulted in criminal charges and a hefty restitution fee. Reports of reckless behavior, from confrontations with paparazzi to abandoning a pet monkey in Germany, painted a picture of a star spiraling out of control, disconnected from reality. This period wasn't just a series of bad choices. It was the unraveling of someone who had lost their way, setting the stage for a redemption arc that no one could have predicted. But the first step toward that redemption didn't come from a manager or a publicist. It came in the form of a familiar face from his past. Hailey Baldwin, a model he had known since they were teenagers, re-entered his life at a critical moment. Their history was complicated. They had been friends, dated briefly, and then endured what Hailey herself described as a period of weirdness where they didn't speak. Their reunion in 2018 wasn't a typical Hollywood romance. According to both of them, it was their shared faith that brought them back together. They reconnected at a church conference in Miami, and this time, something was different. Within weeks, they were engaged, and by September of that year, they were married in a quiet courthouse ceremony. To the outside world, it seemed impossibly fast, but for Bieber, Hailey represented something he desperately needed: stability. She offered a vision of a life beyond the endless cycle of touring, partying, and public scrutiny. She was an anchor in the storm of his fame, but getting married was one thing. Fixing the man inside was another. And that's when Bieber had to confront the battles nobody could see. The foundation of Bieber's new life was built on two pillars: faith and a brutal health crisis. He became increasingly vocal about his Christianity, not in a preachy way, but with a raw honesty about his own flaws. He spoke openly about needing God's grace and was publicly baptized in a friend's bathtub, an act that symbolized a washing away of his past. He admitted that his pursuit of fame and fortune had left him empty and that his faith was the only thing that could fill that void. But just as he was rebuilding his spiritual life, his physical health began to collapse. He was diagnosed with Lyme disease, a debilitating illness that can cause chronic fatigue, joint pain, and neurological issues. For a performer known for his high-energy shows, it was a devastating blow. Then came an even more terrifying diagnosis: Ramsay Hunt syndrome. The virus attacked the nerves in his ear and face, causing partial facial paralysis. In a shocking Instagram video, he showed his millions of followers that he couldn't blink one eye or move one side of his face.
Hey everyone, Justin here. I wanted to update you guys on what's been going on. As you can probably see from my face, I have this syndrome called Ramsay Hunt syndrome. You can see this eye is not blinking. I can't smile on this side of my face. This nostril will not move. So there's full paralysis in this side of my face.
It was a humbling, life-altering crisis that stripped away every last bit of his ego. He was no longer a superstar. He was a man fighting for his health. This wasn't a problem he could solve with money or fame. It was a forced reckoning that made him reevaluate everything. With his body and spirit under repair, the next step was to reclaim his own story. For years, the narrative around Justin Bieber had been controlled by tabloids and critics. He decided to change that. In his 2020 YouTube docuseries, Seasons, he pulled back the curtain and let the world see the unvarnished truth. He spoke with startling candor about his mental health struggles, his past mistakes, and the immense pressure that led him down a dark path. He admitted to heavy drug use, acknowledging how it was a way to numb the pain of his existence.
There was a time where I was sipping lean, I was popping pills, I was doing Molly, shrooms, everything. And it was just an escape for me. I was just young, like everybody in the industry and people in the world who experiment and do, just normal growing up things.
He talked about the loneliness of being on the road and the feeling of being a product rather than a person. This wasn't a polished PR move. It was a raw, vulnerable confession. He stopped hiding and started explaining. By opening up about his struggles, he connected with his audience on a level he never had before. He was no longer just a pop star. He was a human being who had been through hell and was trying to find his way back. He had faced his past, healed his present, but the ultimate test of his transformation was still to come. That final test arrived with the news that he was going to be a father. In May 2024, Justin and Hailey announced they were expecting their first child. The announcement was the culmination of his entire redemption arc, the definitive step away from a self-centered past and into a future defined by responsibility and family. This wasn't a sudden shift. For years, Bieber had spoken about his desire to be a dad. In interviews, he mentioned that seeing Hailey with children was a moment of clarity for him, a vision of the future he wanted. He once said, "I want the mother of my children to look at kids the way she does." Fatherhood represented the final piece of the puzzle, the ultimate motivation to be the best version of himself. It was the closing of one chapter and the beginning of another, far more meaningful one. It seems like the perfect Hollywood ending, but some still ask the question. Online, speculation has often surfaced about whether this transformation is just a well-managed PR strategy designed to salvage a damaged brand. Critics have questioned the speed of his marriage and the suddenness of his public embrace of faith, wondering if it was all a calculated move to win back public favor. It's a skepticism born from years of watching celebrities manipulate their image for personal gain. But whether you're a skeptic or a believer, one thing is undeniable. Justin Bieber's redemption wasn't a single event. It was a grueling, painful process played out on the world stage. It was built on the pillars of a stabilizing partner who loved him for who he was, a grounding faith that gave him a purpose beyond fame, the humbling reality of a health crisis that brought him to his knees, and the ultimate responsibility of becoming a father. His journey forces us to ask a deeper question. Is true redemption about erasing your past, or is it about having the courage to build a meaningful future right next to it?